Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris. Before we get started, I'm gonna warn you up front. My nose is very stuffed today. That means that I'll try to avoid sniffling too much, of course, but I will most likely do it unconsciously a bunch of times throughout this episode. And back to the whole not editing thing. I don't edit these, so I won't be going through it and removing all the sniffling noises. You're just going to have to live with the fact that I'm sniffling today. I might be sniffling at least. Like I said, I'll try to contain it. But with that out of the way, let's move on to today's topic. And the first thing I'd like to talk about today is selling yourself. Like, I have to build... No, we're going to turn it back a little bit. We have 3 projects on the first semester of multimedia design. We are currently doing our second project. We're doing that in collaboration with a place. It's a business research center. Business and research center. And so we're currently doing that, but we are very far ahead. And I figured, okay, well, the next project we're going to be making is also our exam project. And that is to create a portfolio website from scratch. We're not allowed to use any of the normal toolings and all of those things. So we're going to be doing it from scratch, which is fine. I can do that. It's a little annoying because I'm used to using the tools due to the fact that I've worked with this for years. But nonetheless, just having to build it is fine. The problem for me is actually the process leading up to that, because I'm so used to just building a website. Nothing really matters aside from the website. Well, it does this time around. This time around, I need to do research. I need to figure out what kind of people I want to visit my website, what I want them to do on the website, how I want them to do it, all those kinds of things. And that's going to take a while. I was sitting there yesterday. I went on my computer, my work computer, opened up my code editor, my browser, got everything running. And then I realized I can't do this yet. I'm not at this point. I need to create a design mock-up, first a sketch and then a functional prototype. I need to create personas, examples of people who might want to visit the site. And to me, that's, it's probably hiring managers, because using it as a resume, as well as small business owners, I think, are the people I'm going to try to cater to the most. They don't exactly have the same needs, but some of them they have in common. And yeah, it's going to be doable. It's just frustrating that I can't make a website just to be pretty the way I like it, because that's what I've always done. And I know that that's wrong. That's the wrong way to do it. But, when you're just a hobbyist, it's fine. It's no big deal. I'm no longer a hobbyist, though. Now I'm supposed to act a professional. I guess I can do that. It's just a little different to what I'm used to. Anyway, that project isn't actually until next month. I just wanted to get started early, because we only do have a month to do it. And I'm a bit of a perfectionist, so yes, I could do it in a weekend. But no, I'm not going to be doing it in a weekend. I'm going to be doing everything right. Especially if we do need to build style tiles and personas and do the research and such. I figure I'll do that before the project starts. So once we hit the project, all I got to think about is the website itself. But we'll see. We've got a short vacation now. Well, coming up. Today is the last day that I'll be going to school, because we agreed in my group to honor the holidays, especially because one of our group members is going on vacation to London. She's going today, so she won't be there. And she will, of course, be sorely missed. We find it a little unfortunate to have to do work without everybody present, because we want to make sure that everyone's included and everyone's learning and those things. But you can only do so much. So yeah, her going to London is her choice, and she'll suffer the severe consequence of having to do less work. I don't think that that's something she actually minds. At least that's not something she's expressed. What else? Well, today, like I said, I'll be going to school. And that's just to finish up, because we're going to be making a poster. And we're going to be reprinting something. It didn't quite work out as we'd intended. That's another thing. The 3D printers, I'm having real difficulty with the scaling. Because I look at the program and I'm thinking, okay, that's 700 millimeters. No, sorry, 70 millimeters. And then I think, okay, that's this much. Like, I've got a ruler in front of me. And yet when the product comes out, I swear to you, it's bigger than it was supposed to be. It's not. Of course, it's the same size. It just seems so big. But whatever. It is what it is. I'm still learning. I'm pretty new to 3D printing. I'm pretty new to all of it, really. The only thing I'm not new to is web development itself. I mean, I've never even... Okay, that's actually a lie. I have touched Photoshop, but very little. And I did so only, like, we spent a couple of days learning how to restore old images back in 2014. That's a while back, you know. And I haven't touched Photoshop since. So it's all new to me. There's so much new stuff. And I still have all of those assignments to do. So maybe I should focus on those instead of trying to do my third project. Because these are actually equally important. So yeah, I should make these. Actually, thank you. Thank you, you guys. I wouldn't have thought about that if I hadn't been talking about it here. The benefit of ranting in a podcast. I promised yesterday that I'd try to be a little more positive today, because yesterday has just been, a bit negative with everything. And I don't know if you've noticed, but I am doing my very best at doing so. But at the same time, I'm kind of lacking something to talk about, because it's just easier to complain. Otherwise, it'll just be me talking about playing video games, I guess. We could talk about that a little bit. I've started playing Black Desert again. A lot of you probably know it, a lot of you probably don't, and when I say that, I mean my only listener, who's me, at this time, does know what it is. So I'll just pretend that all of you do, that anyone listening to this in the future also knows what Black Desert is. It's a game. And it's a very time-consuming game, so I probably shouldn't have started playing it again. But I started playing it together with my girlfriend because it was free. And I was like, okay, I'll start a new account, we'll start together, it'll be fun. And it is fun-ish. There's so much story. I'd forgotten just how much time you spend running back and forth between NPCs. I tried following the new storyline for a little while, but I just couldn't. I'm usually not very good at that. The only game where I've followed the storyline all the way through was Final Fantasy XIV. And that is because Final Fantasy XIV has such an amazing story. Admittedly, it gets better the more you progress. The beginning story is kind of generic, but at least there's story to it. I feel like a lot of other games, they just put the story in there for the sake of having a story. And then there's just too much text in Black Desert. Like, honestly, I think I've spent like a total of 5 minutes fighting monsters. The rest has been spent talking to NPCs and running back and forth. And I know that at least once I get closer to end game, whatever you want to define end game as in that particular one, it'll be grinding. And that's what my girlfriend and I were going to do. together is to run around killing a bunch of monsters and just talking, having fun while we're doing it. So yeah. It's gonna be fun. Black Desert is a great game, but it's also, like I said, is a time-consuming game. But I figured out that you can play it one of two ways. You can play it as if you have all the time in the world, or you can play it as if you're in a rush. And most people play it as if they're in a rush, myself included. Well, actually, I don't know if most people do that. I get the feeling that most people do that because people are always talking about grinding more and how to best grind and such. I'm just thinking to myself that, well, there's so much to do in Black Desert, and they're constantly adding more content. So just have fun with it. Take your time. This time I've created one character. I'm not planning on creating any other characters, even though I'm kind of iffy on the way the character plays. I figure it's just because I'm not used to it yet. And once I get used to it, and once we finally get to the part where I can start grinding with my girlfriend, it's gonna be fun. I'm thinking right now if I have a favorite game. Because I play a lot of games, and there are a lot of games that I keep coming back to. Like Black Desert is one of the games I keep returning to, and so is a game called Rogue Company. I feel like Lost Ark will probably be one of those games as well. I often returned to World of Warcraft, though I haven't done so in many years now. I haven't done so since Classic. I don't actually know if that's many years, but it is definitely a while. And what else? I feel like Final Fantasy XIV I kind of return to often, but not that often. And the reason is that I tend to start over. So the more I've been returning to it, the less I want to return to it next time, because there's so much repetition. Though Though Final Fantasy XIV is probably still my number one game. If anyone wants a great game, I would say Final Fantasy XIV. Though, of course, it all depends on exactly what they're looking for, because other than that, there are also options like Black Desert and now Lost Ark. Honestly, Lost Ark is pretty new, but quite impressive. I haven't been very impressed with games that have come out in recent years. I feel like a lot of them are just cash grabs, and yes, to those of you who know about Black Desert is also definitely a cash grab, but at least it's a cash grab with substance. It's an actual game that you can play. It has depth, it has stuff you can do, and then there's those annoying pay-to-win-ish features. I don't want to call them pay-to-win, because people don't actually get stronger, they just get a lot more convenience. Being able to call your horse from farther away, having to repair less often, and those things, like less penalty, those kinds of things, they stack up and become a kind of pay-to-win thing, because all of a sudden you'll have more money, you'll have more this, more that, and yeah, but I don't want to call it pay to win, because honestly, I've seen pay to win, and those people who constantly complain about this or that game being pay to win, they have no idea what true pay to win is. There have been games, I remember this Angel Saga, no, that's not the name. What the heck was it called? That's a good question. I remember this particular game, I've got it in my head vividly, where you could literally buy weaponry and armor on the, marketplace with real money. So you could just get the strongest upgraded gear with real money. And you couldn't really access those things without it. Now that was pay to win, because you could immediately get a lot stronger and then kick everybody's asses. But, just getting a little extra experience, sure, it's true that it's kind of pay to win, because then that one person will have to grind 6 hours instead of 6.5 hours. And that, again, it stacks up. You end up in a situation where they've saved days worth of grinding. And if they're already very active at grinding, and I see why some people would call it pay to win, but I'm not going to fall into the trap of doing the same thing. It's definitely pay for convenience rather than pay to win. Because no one in Black Desert gets stronger per se. They just get access to the capability of becoming stronger, which is why I refer to it as pay to win-ish. Because it's not entirely pay for convenience either, but I do feel like it leans more towards pay for convenience. Anyway, I can see that I've actually been going on about this for quite a while. I wasn't expecting that, but I did tell you that I was kind of lacking something to talk about. So we ended up just ranting about video games today. And I suppose that's pretty interesting too. At least to me. I hope you enjoyed it. I know for sure that I did. I always enjoy doing these. It's so much fun talking to you guys, whoever you might be one day. And yeah, I love it. I really do. I hope to continue doing this for a long time. For now, I'm going to say goodbye and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye now.